Now then, have to get some better lighting here, I think. This is my third go. We'll get it right. Wasn't right last time, I didn't like it. 5th of February 2021. Still in the middle of the pandemic. Been for my COVID test this morning. I was negative. So hopefully we can see some light at the end of the tunnel and we can get back to do what we enjoy. Watching rugby league, enjoying our ice hockey and going out to the pub with your mates. Miss it, don't you? Well, let's keep your fingers crossed. We might be seeing a bit of it soon, hopefully. Anyhow, we're here to continue my listing of the Rush albums, and we're up to number 16. And just so happens that the 16th album on my list is the 16th Rush studio album, which is Test for Echo. Now, Test for Echo was released on the 10th of September 1996. 53 minutes 23 seconds long, produced by Peter Collins, his fourth production with the band, however it was to be his last. Originally this CD was 18th on my list, but after sort of like listening it continuously for 2 weeks, I reassessed it and put it up to 16. Musically, Test for Echo continues with the dominance of guitar over keyboards. A theme started on the previous album, Counterparts. Lyrically, the album deals with some of Neil's thoughts about the media, religion, human nature, and his stress about touring as a celebrity and the blossoming internet. Don't forget it was 1996 and the internet was in its infancy. It does have some baggage, and we'll go into that later. The first track's the title track, Test for Echo. Another fantastic opening piece from the lads. Brilliant. They've got that knack of getting us off to a good start. And this isn't the exception to the rule. This is brilliant. Neil's quoted as saying this piece serves as a sort of overture, a grand opening for the CD. Catchy guitar, melody and drum beginning, before a more smoother section, with Neil providing the only anger. By the way, it's that snare drum backing the lyrics up. Listen carefully to get his great bass line. The song develops through a series of musical waves towards a great solo by Alex before a grand finale. Marvellous. Lyrically, Neil's ear is aided by Pa Dubai of Max Webster fame. And I think they're sort of like asking the listener, do you see what's happening here? You're going to back me up for what we're thinking. However, the question is, what are they thinking? There are a few clues in the lyrics. The song opens with a description of a crime scene, with rapidly disappearing camera shots over caved-in cop cars. Bleacher creatures appear. An interesting bleacher creature is the American counterpart of a European and English football hooligan. Apparently looking guilty, but in the full wave of deniability. At that point, to me, the music sort of represents a sigh from the listener and the audience saying, oh no, not again, we've seen all this before, it's a common feature now. Then we're transferred to another crime scene by the ubiquitous Centre Clock News. Here we see another gang, dressed, displaying the same conformity as the original feature. I think what Neil and Pye are saying here is that the media are giving these people some sort of credibility, notoriety, among themselves. Plus the media coverage is also giving the same people a mirage of civility and respectability in the courtroom in their borrowed ties and jackets. The track reflects the inconsistency of the media coverage. Neil and Pi are asking, does anybody feel the same? Great song, fine melody and chorus, great musicianship from all three, marvellous, I love it. The second track's Driven, great opening riff, and that's maintained throughout the piece. Different time signatures only eclipsed by Geddy's powerful bass solo, especially in the middle section of the song, before it speeds up towards its grand finale. Geddy's all over this with his driving bass, brilliant chorus and melodies, which fit the song perfectly. Lyrically, there seems to be some confusion. Or is there? I read one account that it was a cautionary tale about drunk driving. I very much doubt it. I came back to this piece time and time again. At first I wasn't so sure about my interpretation. Nevertheless I am now. The lines in and out of stone windows and driven to a fool's paradise always fascinated me, until I realised Fool's Paradise is actually a rock concert. The song is indeed about the pressures and responsibility of touring as a celebrity, Rush's drummer. I base my argument on an interview Neil did with Pamela Wallum in 1996. You can still see it on YouTube. 6 minutes into the interview, Neil states, and I quote, "I want to be slowed down, relaxed, don't want to be driven, don't want to be urgent, don't want to be worry about getting to a destination, just want to be calm." The lyrics reflect the anxiety and tension of touring as drummer of Rush, so different from when Neil is travelling on his own for pleasure. Margin of error, edge of control, margin of terror, deep dark hole, all reflect this anxiety. Day and night in circles, whirlwind of leaves, in and out of back alleys. I reckon that's loading bass at Ron concerts. In the end, Neil's decided to do his own thing, go riding, as the lyrics say, not driving his own way. It's at this point I've got to mention the collaboration between the band musically and the lyrics. When you hear the music, it's like you're tightening a screw. It's like you're creating friction and tension, testing something to the limit. Before towards the end, with a fast section is released, you can feel the tension and the screw and the spring unwinding. Total harmony between all three. The lyrics, the music. They knew exactly what they was doing with this track. It's an absolute masterpiece. Geddy actually compares Half the World, the next track on the album, to Closer to the Heart. And there's only one band that can make a straightforward, concise, simple rock song a piece of genius. Simple riff continues through the song, some great bass playing, simple bridge section in the middle that reminds me of Lakeside Park, before a little solo from Alex with a mandola, before a heavy build up to the song's peak. Lyrically, it's a song of opposites, not in a specific identity, or being, for example, in Bravish Face or of Snakes and Arrows. It's a song that says there's no conformity, no one size fits all. You can't please everybody all of the time. You can only please some of the time. Tax a politician's nightmare. You could listen to that and thought, I'm only going to get so many votes. Quoting Geddy, it's got a little bit of everything. Nice melody, and it's still aggressive. Enough said. I like it. The next track's The Colour of Right. Simple song for Rush, with a relaxed melody, big sound intro, with a smooth chorus. No solo from Alex. Colour of Right in Canadian law is a means of saying I initially thought I had the right to do that. It can be used as a defence or as an explanation or an excuse to avoid a legal penalty. For example, an individual harbouring an honest belief that he had the right to do something, although it was a wrongful act. For me, Neil has been asked advice from someone close to him and can't give them a concrete answer. His judgment clouded by the facts weighed against his personal feelings for that individual. There's a certain ambivalence in the lyrics, conflicting reactions, beliefs, and a feeling both positive and negative. I did try to find a connection here with his first daughter, Selena. However, I couldn't find anything, because I've got a little inkling the song could possibly refer to a conversation they had about her studies at university. I'd like to think so, but there's no definite proof. Anyhow, we move on. Time of Motion's the next track, and during the last 2 weeks I've been listening to the album. I've sort of rediscovered this track, which I've forgotten gem. I love it. The music for me creates images of movement and weather, not just forward and backward, but up and down and round, as if in a staring motion. I'm immediately transferred to Act 1, Scene 1 of Macbeth, when all the witches cry, fair is foul and foul is fair, hover through the filthy air. Musically, the every odd time signature produces a winding riff which is grunge influenced. Wailing keyboards support it in the background. Great bass playing, great drumming. I love the way 30 seconds into the piece, they sort of give the pot another stare. The piece drifts through odd time signatures, which in turn, for me, represent all the elements. Mighty ocean, the moon, silent forest, wind, sun and rain. Guitars responding accordingly. Great melody, great chorus, and a great solo from Alex. They're all on the top of the game here. Lyrically, the giveaway piece here is Superman in Supernature. The track, for me, is about man's relationship with his own planet Earth. To the wind, rain and sun are added flesh, blood and fire. Into that aforementioned melting pot. And after the precious contact, we have a long enduring relationship. However, supernatural seems to be the dominant partner of the two. I love the different contrasts of music in relation to the elements, heavy on the ocean and moon, and gentle on the silent forest. Just conjures up musical imagination to me. It's brilliant. The next track is Totem. Now, a totem is a symbol or a spirit that represents and watches over a group of people. A totem pole, which Neil refers to, is slightly different. This serves as an illustration for family and cultural heritage. In his words here, Neil is putting on show all the modern, historical, tactile influences what religions have to offer, and the ones he encounters in life. It seems that he's saturated with the impact and sway they have, deciding to relinquish these influences, he has more faith in his own judgment, even though he recognises he still has a date with that sweet chariot. Musically, it's a wonderful sing-along melody and chorus. You have here Alex in the background with tracks of harmonics from hemispheres. And I love the contrast of the upbeat, commercial, harmonious music dealing with such a serious topic. Works for me. What can you say about dog ears? which certainly rocks. But it isn't our hero's finest work, is it? Neil admits this himself when he says basically he wrote the lyrics when he was hungover after a band meeting. He states that Dog Years was born out of observations over the years, him looking at his pet and thinking, what's going on in that brain? I did try to find a better sort of link with the track. I followed up a book called Dog Years by Gunter Grass, but it was a dead end. However, there is a certain prominence in the lyrics. I've got a comment on a line towards the end of the song when it says that every day, that while it seems that every dog will have its day, when all the bones are buried, there is barely time to go outside and play. That's a bit of inexplicable foresight there, when 24 years later, Neil had barely 10 months decent retirement before he was diagnosed with brain cancer. Tragedy for him and his family. Track 8, I think it's track 8, is virtuality. Now, virtuality, a dictionary definition, is not physically existing as such, but made by software to appear so. The track certainly arrives with some physicality, heavy riff, rock, turning into standard soft, melodic commercial chorus, with Neil admitting to a disco beat in the middle of the song, and I read somewhere that Alex's guitar in the chorus replicated a modem connecting to the internet. That's for us who remember that. We don't get that with dial-up, we don't get that with broadband now. The lyrics represent mixed feelings that Neil has towards the internet, which indeed was in its infancy in the 1990s. I think he realises that it has benefits. However, he comes to the conclusion that it has a negative thing as well. And it's not real. People should not be hoodwinked into thinking it's so. I quote him, "The internet is a pale imitation, just like virtual reality is a pale imitation of reality." Of course, things are a lot different now, 25 years later. Attitudes have changed, technology has been developed. Who would have thought the internet would be such an integral part of our lives? Now, a bit naive, especially with the lyrics, but I love the position of the heavy music with a commercial poppy chorus. I think it works. Yeah, the next track's Resist. Now, hands up, who didn't recognise this track, didn't really appreciate it while they played it acoustic at the gigs. A gentle piece of music, great beginning, with Neil playing the hammer dulcimer in support of Geddy's keyboards. Speeding up halfway through the piece, then settling down before reaching its peak with dual melodies from Geddy. My perspective on the track is it's an extension of Totem, 2 tracks before it, whereby Totem is a description of external beliefs that Neil is exposed to. Resist is reverence to his own frailties and strengths, the ones of being a human being. There's a definite contradiction, shows reflection from both songs in the last 2 verses. You can surrender with a prayer, but never pray without surrender, referring to Totem. And you can fight without ever winning, but never win without a fight, referring to his personal feelings in Resist and his inner strength. Great lyrics, great musical combination, but I do prefer the acoustic version. I think the lyrics are more poignant, same lyrics are more poignant in that. And I do love Alex's guitar in the live version. As per usual, we found an instrumental on the album, and that's Limbo. This was put together by pieces of music that never really had a home. And instead of just leaving them, the band decided to, as Waifs and Strays, the band decided to connect them up and make an instrumental album. Typically for Rush, its influences are from a variety of different genders: rock, oriental, electric, and different forms of percussion in the middle section, which Neil describes as caravans across the desert. Another exercise in self-indulgence for the band. But I think it's decent, but it's certainly not on the same level as La Villa or Wah Wah Z. We have another odd time signature effort to finish the album, Carve Away the Stone. Lyrically, Ian Neil's trying to get across that he realises that most people live lives of routine and drudgery, and they have repeat performances every day, and that's represented by the stone. What Neil's actually getting at is make your life more fulfilling, and by developing one's ability or character, you can broaden your horizon, i.e. if it's in music, literature, or art. I think make a graven image of yourself is a reference to seek other forms of gratification rather than religion. And basically, your burden will become a bit lighter. The reference, if you could just move yours, I could get working on my own. I think Neil's saying, look, we've dealt with this subject a few times before. I've told you before in other songs, free will, etc. If you can understand this, get on with it, and then I've got my own problems and troubles and pressures to sort out. Neil uses a Greek proverb, Greek legend of Sisyphus, Pink Floyd, Umagume, Studio Sound. Is condemned by the gods for eternity to repeatedly roll a stone to the top of a hill, only for when he gets up there for it to roll back down again. That seems to be a metaphor for the individual's constant struggle in everyday life. Neil's repeating the work of the French novelist and philosopher Albert Camus, whose view is that broadening your horizons create mutual fulfilment, which will engender joyful acceptance of your struggle. Musically, it's a 4-minute gentle rock melodic piece, upbeat middle section towards the beginning, and constructed out of uptown work. Typical Rush finish. Nice piece of music. In conclusion, Test for Echo was made during a period that culminated in a lot of personal and professional satisfaction for the band. Geddy had spent a year with his newly born daughter. Alex had made a solo album, and Neil had been involved in the Burning for Buddy project, album and concert. He'd also taken time off to be under the tutelage of Freddie Gruber, developing his own drumming technique, which can be clearly heard on this album. Test for Echo cemented the success. It was well received by the fans and the majority of the media, although I've read some panning reports. It also continued Rush's move away from keyboards to a more guitar-based sound. For me, the first 30 minutes are excellent. However, it does appear to be one track too long, and would not suffer from some kind of scaling back. But that's me. However, the band toured the album, which ended in July 1997, but dark clouds were on the horizon, and they would not record again until 2001, early 2001. Star of the album, Geddy, is all over it for his marvellous melodies and choruses and his fantastic bass playing, especially on Driven. Lyric of the album, Neil and Pardo Bar's statement, can't do the time, don't do the crime, and end up on the prep walk on TV. Prep walk being the practice of American law enforcement of taking an arrested suspect through a public place, creating a photo opportunity for the media. Presentation. The insuit on the cover in the shape of a human, which Neil spotted on one of his bike rides. The telescope's pointing out to outer space, and the dog howling at the moon in unison. Brilliant. Little known fact, Cliff Norrell, the recording engineer, is a massive long-term Rush fan, also a member of a Rush tribute band. And the map on the inside of the cover is at the Ocean Map Ancient Collection, and was originally published in 1633, without Rush on it, of course. Baggage, I refer to Neil's DVD, Work in Progress. 3 hours 40 minutes, where Neil documents how he's created the drums for the album, and you see him playing, and it's got all sorts of little snippets and interviews, and Neil talks about creating drum parts and creating songs, different time signatures. It's well worth a look. It's not something you're going to look at every week, but every other month or whatever, twice a year, it's worth consulting. That's it. Another album I've thoroughly enjoyed getting to know again these past 2 weeks. I'll be working on my own for number 15. Until then, stay healthy, keep safe. You can see that light at the end of the tunnel now. Hopefully we might see Alex and Geddy again. See you later.